It is Joyful Journey VR here, and we're back. And we're finna journey through theology, just even again, once again, for the one, the fourth time. Because I love it. I love learning new things,
Go, baby.
and this time we have another special guest, another good friend of mine. A powerful person. He brings joy. He's a light in the world of darkness. I'm always bringing hype into the room, and he knows how to make people laugh even when they're feeling down. Um, so we're just going to jump in with it, and if you can just put them hands together just one more time and give it up for y'all saw him in my videos, but y'all saw him in my videos before. Give it up, but he's in a different fit. Give it up for Prodigal. Ah, oh my soul. Take it away, boy.
Welcome. Welcome. Hey. Anyways, today we're going to be talking about the historicity of the crucifixion of Jesus Christ and how it's not just a lie made up by the pagans and the Christians, and how it's an actual historical event recorded by non-Christians, and non-biblical evidence of the crucifixion can be found throughout the first and early second century, especially from Jewish historian Flavius Josephus in his book Antiquities of the Jews. And we also got Cornelius Tacitus, a, a Roman writer of the first century, and he's going to help us with talking about how the historicity of it in the first century. And we're also going to get Lucian, and he's going to help us also get some evidence for the crucifixion. And this isn't just a lie made up in the old Bible, but it's a actual historical event. And this is just a little bit of the evidence. I mean, there's way more evidence, but tomorrow will get mad if I'm sitting here for 50 minutes. Three historians who talk about the crucifixion of Jesus Christ and how it was preached during the first century, how it's not just later introduced by like the Sky Paul and the heretical Nicene Creed, like. But anyways, we're gonna be talking about the crucifixion today. We're gonna get into the non-biblical evidence from non-Christians. That yeah, that yeah.
Oh
First
yeah.
historian, a Jewish historian from the first century, named Flavius Josephus, in his book Antiquities of the Jews, in Book 18, Chapter 3, Section 3, where he goes over the this man named Jesus Christ who who came in Jerusalem and had a big impact on uh, Judaism. And he explains how he did wonderful works, but especially he explains how Jesus Christ was crucified and condemned to a cross by the Pilate. But he doesn't stop there. He states that he didn't forsake the followers of him. Instead, he rose again and appeared to them on the third day. So Flavius Josephus provides the crucifixion and the resurrection, even though it could be taken the resurrection part could be taken whether they actually saw it or whether they just envisioned it. It's still evidence that there was still a resurrection claim in the first century. And he ends that section with saying the Christian tribe is still in existence today. So that is non-biblical evidence from a non-Christian named Flavius Josephus, who helps outline a historical claim in his book Antiquities of the Jews, where Jesus Christ was crucified, and there was a claim about his resurrection. Yeah. All right, that's good. That's good. That's good. Let's go, baby. All right. Next, we got Cornelius Tacitus. Our next historian is Cornelius Tacitus from the first century in his historical annals, where he writes in chapter or book 15, chapter 44, he mentions how the Christians were worshiping someone from the name of Christus, which means Christ, which many historians have accepted as Christ. And he explains how this man named Christus suffered the extreme penalty by Pontius Pilate. And seeing that they identify him, his executor, as Pontius Pilate, very plausible that the extreme punishment or extreme penalty was the crucifixion, seeing how that was one of the harshest penalties during the first century. And also, and during Rome. We can also lead to this conclusion from the idea that he mentions Pontius Pilate, because that lines up with the New Testament and how Jesus was executed under the authority of Pontius Pilate. So, although it doesn't say the crucifixion, although it doesn't talk about being crucified or anything, we can still have a rational uh, conclusion that he was most likely crucified, with Pontius Pilate being his executor, lining up very well with the New Testament, and also the extreme penalty for the Roman Empire during that time was one of them was crucifixion. So taking those two evidences, we can kind of see how it would be crucifixion. He also leads us to the Christians of the early time. And if we check the early Christians' writings, then we can see that they claim that Jesus Christ was crucified too. I mean, that can be found throughout early church history, but that'll be a time for another day. But this is pretty good evidence. I would say that Flavius' evidence is better, but doesn't mean that this one still couldn't work. But yeah, this could definitely be used as historical, non-biblical, non-Christian evidence for the crucifixion of. All right, the final evidence I'm going to bring comes from Lucian, a novelist from the 2nd century. And in his novel, The Passing of Peregrinus, in section 11, he writes how the Christians were worshiping a crucified man in Palestine. This could very well be Christ, seeing as he mentions the Christians, which Christians during that time worshipped Christ and were centered around Christ. Very rational to believe that that man who was crucified in Palestine was Jesus Christ. He also later on states that there was a crucified sophist and that the Christians were worshiping too. And again, that could very most likely be Jesus Christ. And this, he originally wrote this to mock someone who committed suicide from around the time of the Olympics during that time. But somehow he brings up and starts trying to mock Christians and say that they were worshiping this man who was crucified in Palestine, who was apparently a sophist. But the Christians, how Christians, Christ, most likely, and most historians accept it to be Jesus. So, as we could see from non-biblical evidence from the 1st and 2nd century, Jesus Christ was crucified. It's a historical event, and even Bart Ehrman, a biblical scholar and skeptic of Christianity, states that one of the most historic facts in history is that Jesus Christ was crucified. And we cannot ignore this. Secular scholars stating that Jesus Christ was crucified, Islam, atheism, and whatever ideology cannot hide from this fact that Jesus Christ was crucified. And it's very well supported by all the evidence I showed. There's tons more, and I recommend you do your research, and maybe I'll do another part on this, but I just covered a little bit of evidence. Remember Flavius Josephus, remember Tacitus, remember Lucian, and study that and understand it more, become more familiar with it, and help yourself be ready for whenever someone tries to approach you and ask this question: was Jesus Christ really crucified? And that is all I have to say. Remember that, and God bless.
Guys, we got blessed today. Hope you did, because of course I did. I don't know about you guys. Learned 3 historical figures outside of the Bible that talks about the crucifixion of my Lord and Savior, Jesus J. Christ, you know. So make sure you like and subscribe, hit that notification bell so you know when we get more videos like this, and just don't give up. Don't give up.